Hello all, welcome back to the 5 Minute Tech channel. Today we'll be talking about ASP.NET Core Minimal API, where we'll be walking through an example and trying to understand all the concepts which are involved in the ASP.NET Core Minimal API. So let's get started. Minimal APIs are a little different from the traditional ASP.NET Core MVC, wherein you have controllers and the way you orchestrate the APIs. In minimal APIs, it is architected to create HTTP APIs with minimum dependencies as compared to MVC. They're ideal for microservices apps and that want to include only minimal files, features, and dependencies in the ASP.NET Core. Now, this was introduced in .NET Core 6, .NET 6 and it was refined in .NET 8, which is the latest version, and they have removed the complexity of traditional ASP.NET Core MVC models. There are no more controllers and no extensive configurations are present. Now this is a snapshot from the MSDN wherein it is showing what a program.cs file looks like. It has minimal tooling here. It has a builder, web application create builder, and on that builder whatever whatever configurations we want, we can put in top of that, the builder service. And that's, you can see here all the endpoints, how it can be configured. This could be more simplified. We'll walk through a simple application, a bookstore application, which I'll walk you through how to simplify this implementation. So what are the features of minimal API? It is designed to hide the host class by default and focuses on configuration and extensibility via extension methods that take the function as a lambda expression pattern. In minimal APIs, it supports dependency injection through other approaches such as accessing the service providers. The minimal API have many of the same capabilities as controller-based APIs. They support configuration customization needed to scale to multiple APIs, handle complex routes, apply authorization rules, and control the content of API responses. So all the minimal APIs use a more concise syntax compared to traditional approach, traditional being your MVC. The map get, map put, map delete, map post methods are part of this new approach and are used to define HTTP routes for handling specific HTTP verbs or methods. Map get is used to handle HTTP get and request to the root and response with it comes as a template, okay. And then map put is there, wherein it is used to update a particular resource. Map delete is used to perform the HTTP delete function. Map post is to save with a data which you have in passing in the body and all those things. These methods provide a clean and concise way to define routes for specific HTTP methods in minimal API. Now, what are the differences between the controller based and the minimal API? First of all, there is a difference in the syntax and the structure. Controller based has controllers and actions, and they inherit from controller base, and actions handle specific requests, whereas minimal API are more concise syntax, define routes and handle requests directly without controllers. So as you saw, there were direct routes through which it was handling. Boilerplate code requires more boilerplate code for the controller based API, wherein you have controllers, models, and all the boilerplate codes built in. And whereas in minimal API, it aims to reduce the boilerplate code. That is the whole purpose of this, making it quicker to define simple routes and handlers. Now, flexibility wise, it provides the controller based APIs provide structured way to organize code, gives to the controller, and you have a name of controller and the APIs associated with that controller. And also it supports advanced way of configuring dependency injection, action filters, etc. Whereas minimal API is designed to be suitable for smaller and simpler scenarios, lightweight but less structured and extensible. Although you can do certain dependency injections and filtering, action filters also on the minimal API. Convention versus configuration discovered, the controller based APIs are discovered through naming conventions, with the routing often configured in the startup class. Routes, whereas in minimal API, route are defined explicitly in the startup code, relying less on the naming convention. So we specifically define the routes. Ease of use, This ease of use is familiar to developer, the MVC way. It has been used for a long time, whereas minimal API is designed to be simpler, more approachable, and ideal for quick prototyping and some smaller projects. Capabilities which are not yet supported or implemented by minimal APIs are there is no built-in support for model binding, and there is no built-in support for validation, iModel validator, no support for application parts or application model, and there is no built-in view rendering support, and no support for JSON patch and OData. Now we will move on to the implementation demo, wherein we will be showing you the how you can structure your code in a minimal API to be very efficient, and it is very much applicable to the microservice world, wherein you can spin out a API project pretty fast. So here am I in an ASP.NET empty project. So you can create this project by selecting ASP.NET Core empty project template, and I have done that. I got this project right now. If you can see here, there is a simple program.cs file which has a simple boilerplate code, wherein we are creating a builder and we are building that builder, and the only route which is mapped right now is simple slash and hello world. So we'll just remove this now, and we'll wire up the open API, that is our Swagger. So let's get started. Work database, so I'll just bind that up. Builder dot services dot add db context. I'll name it as bookstore db, right? Bookstore db, and I will use it as in memory. Use in memory database, yeah. And I will name it as bookstore. So I need to create this bookstore database, so I'll create a repository folder. So let me add a repository and add this class. About setting up the database, the Swagger and everything, right? That is done, and now let's write some APIs. So first we will write map. First let's post data. So first we need to create this data into our database, right? The in-memory database. So save book, and then what we can do here is it will be a asynchronous save operation. We will be passing the book object. So book, let me implement this one, and then we will get the iBook. So we would need to write a book service, so something like a iBook service, which will be like a book service, and that will internally be used to, also we need a DTO here. A book will not be good enough, we have to write a DTO and then use it. So let me create those. Let me add a DTO folder, which will be a book DTO. The reason why we do is we do not want to expose the entity, but a data type object to the API. And this book DTO will not have the ID, it will just have your title and name, because ID is something which you will use in the database, not something which you expose in the API generally. So yeah, that's something which we will do. Coming back to the this one we will inherit that. We will create a book service, something like a book service. So let me add a folder here, a service layer. Service layer will have interface and a class. So let me write the book service first, and then an interface, iBook service. Now iBook service will have four operations. The iBook service will have four functions, which will be get, update, and save and delete. Yeah, that's the four operations. So let's write those. So first is a list of book, get books, then we have a book. Okay, why is it showing book service? It should be book, and we should take this one from model, and then we have book, get book int id. So if we trying to get the book, one book, we can do id. Then we have book, save that book and return it. So we'll take the book, create the book id and return it. And then we have a book, update book. Again, this will need a book, and then we have a delete book. And this will take a id. Okay, now this iBook service will be implemented by our book service. So let's do that, and let's do a constructor iBook service. Okay, it is a class interface. I think I created an interface, but yeah, okay. Implement the interface here. Okay, it's come in some random order. Okay, let's do a delete book implementation. So delete book will be we'll try to get the, first of all let's do a constructor injection, cto bar, to get the context. So we would need a bookstore db, yeah, this one, which is a bookstore db private, and previous that I will create a private read only bookstore db underscore bookstore db. And we will do is underscore bookstore db is equal to bookstore db, and then we will use this bookstore db. Now we have the id, add book to be deleted, it is equal to bookstore db dot first or default, first or default, not have link queue right now. Let's okay, store default, store db is a context. Okay, dot books exists, did exist, then we will do is we will delete it. Bookstore delete, remove, and book to be deleted. Okay. To be deleted, and we will return a true. Return true, else return false. Okay, save the book. Whatever book we get, we will do book dbstore dot save dot add, and add the book, right, and then we will do a dot save changes, and we will return that book, which will now have the details like ID and all. Get books, we will do a return of book.db dot books dot to list, and update book. What we will do is we will bookstore db dot update book. We can do a condition check here if the book exists, and then we can do that, but for the simplicity I am not doing that right now. Save changes, return the book which is updated, and the get book will be your return underscore store dot books dot first or default, and the ID match t is equal to t dot id is equal to id, and that is what it will be returned. And we can remove this warning which was coming with this symbol. So that's pretty much about it. Coming back to our program CS. Now here I have this book service now. The book service is there, and then what we will go ahead and do it is we will do a lambda, and what we will do is type result I think we have added one more, type result dot okay, and then we will return is book service the object which we have just now. I don't know why this is showing a red squiggly. Okay, what is the problem? Is it aboriginal given context? Map, comma, synchronous. Okay, dot save book. Is it not coming? Okay, that was the problem. So book service dot save book, and we'll pass the book. Now you see here we have a DTO and we are doing it, passing it to the save book, and it is saying cannot convert book DTO to book. Now for this we need to do a auto mapper mapping. So let me add the auto mapper, first write a mapper folder, mapper, and we will do a book profile, book mapper, book mapper profile, because we need to convert the we'll add the profile, and that is from automapper. So let's add the profile, and in the constructor we will add create map, and we will add the source and destination, book DTO, and the book. Similarly the reverse way, create map, book being the source and the book DTO. This will be for both to and fro communication. So this is done. Let's move on to here, and here we will be passing through a mapper. So for that I need to inject the mapper as well. So let me do that. That is through builder.services dot add auto mapper, right? And this is for all the properties, app domain dot current domain dot get assemblies, right? So it will take care of that, and this is the method. That's why this will. Okay, and now I will inject imapper, and the name is mapper, right? This should okay, yeah. So now this should be DTO to model. So mapper dot map to our book, and then it should be fine, right? Okay, okay, so I've added the other services as well, which includes post and the get, put and delete for the getting, updating and deleting the book. So let me run this application now. I have rearranged the code a bit. The builder.build was little up, so I moved it down after the registering is done. And then second part is I have not registered the service. So let me just register the service, the book service which we have built. So the way you do it is you add the same way you do it in the in MVC based API, add transient, and you will do is you will just do the interface comma the implementation service, and that's how it is, same way as we do it in other project. So our application is now up and running. So first we will go ahead and save a book. So let's do that. Let me put it as test title and test description. and let's execute it. And as you see, it is saved 200 and it returned us the one which we have saved. Now let's go ahead and try to fetch all the books and let's see what happens. Let me make it a little bigger. And let's try this out and let's execute. So as you see, it is pulling from the memory, test title and test description. Now as you see, there is a lot of clutter in the program.cs with all these endpoints, and there is an easier way to organize your endpoints, and that is through your endpoint route builder extension, which I have written. In the route builder, endpoint route builder extension, what you can do is you can register the endpoints, and you can through iEndpoint route builder you can build those endpoints. So it's like this, and if you have you can also put all these implementations in a book handler or a specific model handlers. Now book handler is something which has the specific code here which returns a particular service call and the result therein. So what happens is, now in program.cs what you need to do is to just remove this piece of code, and you need to just register app.register book endpoints, and that's all you need to do to make it work. And this is a method that was the red squiggy, and if you run this again, and let's do a swagger HTML, and we are good. So now let's go ahead and save our book first. So let's try it out. String1, string2, execute, and it saves in the in-memory database. And if you try to get the book out. So that was a demo around minimal APIs. Hope you liked the video. If you like the video, press like and subscribe to the channel. Have a nice day.